Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thanks again for joining me here. I hope you're having a fantastic day. We're taking a quick look here at SEI, seeing what's going on. I got a lot of requests for this one overnight. Apologize for not being able to get you one last night. Of course, I was out of office or whatever you want to call it. Essentially not available to do that. So we got some good news though. Bitcoin dominance is starting to pull back a little bit finally, and we're starting to see some altcoins recover. Truthfully, I've looked at a lot of altcoins today. SEI is the only one that's pivoted a lot harder than others, so this is a good sign. Could be the fact that we're hitting our bottom. This is somewhat of a support range here at about 69/70 cents. So we're going to see here soon what's going on. This most recent lower liquidity level has been swept. Previous one is still open, but that's the same thing for every single coin right now. We have this really ugly lower liquidity level based on that massive candle wick that came down when Bitcoin sold off by $1.6 billion in 13 minutes 2 days ago. So that was not fun, all right? But cool thing is we had low leverage, low position size in our community. We didn't have hardly any damage to our portfolio. We actually, as a matter of fact, took some nice profit from Bitcoin yesterday, a little 4-hour trade there, and of course, a nice older ARPA trade to fill the bags at 150%. And prior to that as well, an SEI trade, just so you know, 24%, we still have an open trade here with this. Keep in mind, we took a lot of profit on this one already. So the fact that it's open and the fact that the price action is pulled back is not a super concern because we've taken most of our profit and the trades are still in the green. At least the way that we structure it in our community. Some folks do it different, but again, just some heads up there. We play it safe in that regard. So safe is what safe does, right? And what that basically means is that we want to use low leverage and low position sizing. So I do definitely recommend considering something a little bit smaller than what you see everyone else online doing. There's a lot of maxis out there and show-offs that are going to show you how great they are at trading. And while I still already showed you our great trades too, they're low leverage, low position size. We don't have to flex our muscles with 1,000% return. I don't mind 150% in a month or two. That works just fine for me, okay? And again, sometimes we'll get 20, 30, 40% in just hours. Swing trades are different, folks. You never truly know, but the whole point is to be able to sustain that price action or be able to sustain that for a long period of time. And that's essentially what's going on here. So let's go ahead and reverse these back or unreverse our fibs and just double check a few things here for us. So on the daily time frame, everything's still bullish. We're starting to see somewhat of a pullback here. Of course, this is standard when the price action starts to retrace as it has for 2 days. So stochastic's pulling back naturally. So with RSI, we see the RSI stay above 70. We could see a bouncing point here. There's a chance of that, but at this point, the best thing to understand here on the daily isn't necessarily these indicators, because they're definitely letting us know there's a pullback. That makes sense, of course, standard stuff. But we also want to look at, well, TD sequential's overextended. We're getting this little range-bound activity. So with us being in this range of just say 70 upwards of roughly about 78 cents, that's helpful because we're going to get a reset and we could potentially continue to leg up here. In other words, this overextension is no longer overextended. It's actually a healthy continuation. Having said that, though, moving averages were well above that. That's the key takeaway here, is that we're above the moving averages. That helps us understand we're on the right side of tracks. But it doesn't stop it from coming down all the way down to this 55 to 49 cent range. Okay, that could still very well happen, and we could be above the moving average. Isn't that crazy? The price could drop by like 50%, and we'd still be, well, no, that's not even 50%. Sorry, that's a terrible estimate. 25% roughly, and we'd still be considered bullish, right? That's the general concept of how the moving averages work. So again, all the more reason not to just use the daily time frame as like the catalyst for taking a trade. Simply just icing on the cake. Okay, right now we're still bullish. We got to recognize that in the overall trend. Let's see if the midterm time frame tells us anything different. So we're below the 20 SMA, above the 50. That's a positive contributing factor, but also the fact that we're below the 20 leads me to believe that we need to be cautious and careful that we've lost our midterm trend line, okay? So having lost that, we just got to pay closer attention to ensure we honor this 50-day SMA, which is trending closer to about 66 cents, okay? Just to clarify, that's kind of what that's doing. We got our second stochastic swing. That's typically a very bullish sign. We can also see that we're bouncing off 50 on the RSI. While it's not a clean bounce, it's still in that close approximate range. That reaffirms this 0.5 fib level at 71 cents should be a strong support level. So if we get a closure at 71 cents or higher today, that does confirm we should be able to hold that level and continue higher. Taking a look at the MACD, we're still diverging. This is a conflicting sign, but once more, it's starting to plateau and hasn't continued lower. Okay, most coins are still shooting straight down. So at this point, that is also a positive sign if you look at it in the right way. Again, I'm not trying to convince myself to take a trade here. You got to recognize I'm trying to convince myself not to take a trade. Okay? And at this point, there's not a ton of things telling me that it wouldn't be worth considering buying this dip. Okay? again, you got to recognize we do have a decent shelf here. If the price does lose this level, there is a pretty steep drop to the most recent fib at 0.786 to 68 cents. So I mean, we literally could see the price losing that level, drop a good 10-11%. So all the more reason why you use low leverage, low position size to ensure that if you have a situation like that, you don't get destroyed. Or just say you have a low position size and you hit your stop loss. You can try again later with a better trade that has a better position, and you have more potential for gain that way, right? Less loss, more gain. So again, it's all easier said than done, but the truth is there's a significant gap here of no volume, and we need to respect the fact that if we lose this current level, it could continue lower. So that by no means am I saying that this is a bullish coin. It's just exuding bullish behavior based on this overextension to the downside and holding this line here, so to speak. And roughly, once more, that's about the 69.70 cent mark. So it's looking decent in that regard. Again, if we didn't have a trade open already, I'd maybe consider one, but that's not what I'm saying. Please don't walk away from this conversation with that understanding. Because the truth is, we don't have confirmation. If you look at the cloud, this is my ultimate confirming factor. We really have to be closing above 75 cents or higher, maybe even 76, within 24 hours to be able to get to that point. So me personally, I would wait for this before I take a trade. I know people are thinking, why not just take a trade now? It's going to get there anyways. It's not. We don't know that for sure. We got to play devil's advocate and kind of consider the fact that the price action could go down. It probably will go down. We have to recognize that. But if it does, we can just prime ourselves for a better position later. And at this point, it's not the end of the world because we are in this cloudy spot, right? So when you're within the cloud, it's generally conceived as or perceived as not taking a trade. You do not want to take a trade there. Now, again, if you're not familiar with Ichimoku Cloud, highly recommend it. It's probably one of the best indicators you could ever use. I have a video explaining how to use it. Search for that on my channel. Having said all that, though, the lagging span is not free and clear. Or sorry, it is free and clear. It's just to the downside. And the lagging spans, conversion lines below the baseline. We have basically 2 out of 3 reasons here to keep your short position open if you have one. The only thing holding it back is the fact that we're in the cloud now, and you just kind of want to hesitate and wait and see what happens next. So the truth is, larger time frames are looking pretty decent, but the micro is still telling us we're bearish. And until we can close above, at the very least, once again, 75 cents, or just secondary to that, 74 cents to break this most recent high, we're not going to be in a good shape. Okay. And what I want to talk about that really quick, and I'll let you go, is the fact that, how do you break a trend, right? So this lower low, lower high trend is consistently happening, right? You can see that. Just keeps on, low, 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 high. In order to break that, you either need to establish range-bound activity, which we're kind of doing here. So hypothetically, the range is this to this. So the price continues to range-bound itself. That means it's figuring itself out. And the next step is to ensure that you close above this level here. You cannot close above the most recent high. There's no position or no consideration for the price to go upwards. Okay, that's what we're looking for. So ultimately, not the worst thing ever, but still not a confirming factor here for me on this coin. So what are your thoughts? Comment below, let me know. If you're new to the channel, make sure you check out Bitunix Phenomenal Exchange. Link down below to register, you get some awesome rewards. Mainly, we use them because there's no VPN or KYC requirements, and they just happen to be my favorite exchange. So it's a cool coincidence that they're helping our community, and they have really cool features, trailing stop losses, multiple profit targets. Be sure to check that out if you haven't already. Either way, I hope you learned something today. Comment below, love to hear it. Don't forget to like the video and follow if you haven't already. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.